Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I hope you all have been having a wonderful, informative morning. I am Talisha Clark for MWSBE, and I will be conducting this awesome and amazing and informative technical assistance for you this morning. First off, I want to go ahead and do some housekeeping, as previously said by Lakeisha and Tiffany. Please be sure, if you're pre-registered, to check that survey link that was sent to you and submit that before your next session begins, which would be Pay or Play with Mr. Jesse Ortiz. If you did not pre-register, there is a survey located in the chat box for you to go ahead and be able to complete that survey for us as well. I have also included my contact information, so if you have any further questions or concerns, you are able to reach me via email or by the phone. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat box, and our MWSBE contract administrators will answer your questions as necessary. And also, if you do require additional training after this, which we hope that we're informative and clear and concise enough, but please let our team members know, and we will be more than happy to assist you in scheduling that out for you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started, and we're going to talk about this MWBE technical assistance training for contractors. So our division contact information, as you've seen before, is Mr. Bynum and Ms. Crystal Boyce. I would love for everyone to give a warm welcome to our newest MWSBE contract administrators who have joined the team, who are awesomely amazing and really have come in being very helpful and awesome in executing their contracts and helping our primes and our subs become 100% compliant. So we want to welcome Miss Tiffany Kapanga and Miss Taisha Booker. That was a hand clap. So I don't have an automated clapping system. So we just want to welcome these lovely ladies. I'm sure if they're assigned to your contract that you've heard from them by now. And if you have any questions or concerns specifically for them, they will also include their contact information in the chat box. So you're able to contact whomever is your assigned MWSBE contract administrator. MWSBE policy overview. So it's the policy of the City of Houston to strengthen minority women-owned small business enterprises, or as we call it, MWSBE participation during all phases of contracts. Our objective is to ensure local firms are afforded equal opportunities that promote utilization and eliminate discrimination. So all of the HCDD contracts also must comply with federal procurement regulations, which mandate contracts to include all necessary affirmative steps to ensure that our MWSBEs are utilized to their maximum capacity. So as a result, HCDD must also adhere to both federal and local requirements as it relates to our MWSBE, or minority women-owned small business enterprises. Some of our amazing discussion topics that we're going to cover today is our MWSBE certification benefits, our commonly used terms, our goal-oriented projects, our systems, which is our B2G Now participation and payment tracker, Lcp Tracker document submission portal, how a contract agreement goes, compliance forms packet, deviation requests, contractor performance, and our closeout evaluations. I just want to reiterate, please be sure as we go through the presentation, if you do have any questions come about, please enter them in the chat box, or you may actually separately email it and just go ahead and write it down so we can help you. So the benefits of MWSBE certification, it gives you an advantage in procurement selection processes. You receive regular alerts of networking, contracting opportunities. Your company profile is listed in the city's MWDBE online directory, which you can reach through the Office of Business Opportunity at the link listed at the top. Gives you an opportunity to bid on goal-oriented contracts, and you're covered under the City of Houston's Chapter 15 ordinances. Other Texas certification agencies also accept the City of Houston MWDBE, SB, and PDB certifications, as with this city, we only actually accept our certification that is done through our Office of Business Opportunity. So if you're on this call and you're a subcontractor and you're a minority or women-owned or small business enterprise and you qualify, please visit the link to look into actually becoming a certified firm if you're not already. We definitely encourage you. Already time for a technical assistance training. Pop quiz. Can you all hear the music? So with the pop quiz, there it is. What is the technical meaning of MWSBE? Please put your answers in the chat box. What is the technical meaning of MWSBE? Awesome. I see some answers coming through. Let's see what you have here. Awesome. Get a few more in. If you answered A, minority women-owned small business enterprises, you are already an MWSB expert. Just kidding. We have a little bit more work to do, but great job, everyone. Everyone had the correct answer. So now we're going to get into these commonly used MWSBE terms. As you're going through working on our contract, there'll be specific terms that is used. So we'd like to just go over and touch bases on those. So a subcontractor. Of course, a subcontractor is a contractor hired to perform portions of work on a contract of a general contractor, which a general contractor being the main contractor responsible for the overall coordination of a project. It includes communications with all involved parties concerning their site activity, change orders, compliance documentation, subcontractor participation, and the list can go on. A supplier is, of course, a company that supplies products. A lower tier sub. So a lower tier sub is a firm or individual that works under another subcontractor. So the subcontractor is actually subletting a part of their contract. That is a lower tier sub. Good faith efforts are the steps that are taken to demonstrate efforts towards meeting the MWBE goal requirements. MWSBE, as you all answered so diligently, is the minority women-owned small business enterprise. You guys have an A on that one already. And then we have a goal-oriented project, which is the competitively bid projects with the MWBE goal requirements that we monitor. Goal-oriented projects. So we're going to get into the contracts that we actually monitor. So HCDD awarded projects will comply with the citywide aspirational goal requirements as default effective May 31st, 2018. And an MWSBE compliance is expected on City of Houston contracts that meet the thresholds that trigger our MWSBE goals. So per the Chapter 15 ordinance, the following types of projects are considered goal-oriented projects. So it's a contract or agreement that is undertaking anticipated construction work in the excess of $1 million. And I'm going to say that again. $1 million is when we're activated when it comes into anticipated construction work or any contract or agreement. The supply of goods or non-personal or non-professional would be $100,000. And regulated contracts such as professional services and any contract that meets the following requirements, which is competitive bids, are not required by law. So with the citywide aspirational goals that we said that we would meet by default for our construction contracts would be the citywide goal of 34%. The 34% is divided up with the MBE being 23%, which is the minority business owned, and then we have the women business owned with 11%. So MBE is 23% and WBE is 11%, equaling that 34%. However, with the SBE that is allocated, it is not allowed to exceed 4%. So this is for construction only. So that 4% can be used as a substitution in any side. So you can use the 4% completely under your MBE or under your WBE, or you can split it. You can do 3 to 1, 2 to 2, however the divvy goes up as far as you allocating that, but that is it. Per our professional services contract, that require a professional license, such as architect, engineer, attorney, accountant, that MBE goal is 24%. It is a 24% with no specified, division of the MBE and WBE. And our purchasing contracts, which of course is the providing the supply of goods and non-professional services, that citywide goal is 11%. So with the goal achievement, after a prime contractor is awarded a project on a goal-oriented project, compliance can only be achieved one of two ways, and that is meeting the goal requirements or demonstrating good faith efforts in an attempt to meet the goal. So with that, we always, as MWSB contract administrators and advocates, we always want our prime contractors and those contracts to meet that goal requirement. So we do whatever we can to diligently work with you to help you achieve those goals, to not have to just demonstrate good faith efforts, but to actually achieve and overachieve the goal. So with your certified firms that you are utilizing to achieve this contract, to achieve this participation goal, only the firms that are certified through the City of Houston Office of Business Opportunity can be credited towards the participation goals. So if your certified firm, if you have a subcontractor and they're stating that they're a certified firm, on the presentation, which we will send over to you via email, it has that link for that houston.mwdbe.com. And you are actually able to visit that website and look at the directory to confirm that your subcontractor is actually and actively certified through the City of Houston Office of Business Opportunity. We do not want you to utilize any certified firms that state they are certified without the proof of that certification. So like we stated before, only firms that are certified through the Office of Business Opportunity can be credited towards your participation goals. Woo, we have another pop quiz. Why were MWSBE regulations established? Why were MWSBE regulations established? As a formality, HCBE needs additional rules to mediate historic discrimination and create equal opportunities. B, complete government projects faster. Please put your answers in the chat box. If you answered C, to remediate historic discrimination and create equal opportunities, you were correct, which was everybody in the chat. Awesome job. Post-award compliance requirements. So we're going to talk about LCP Tracker. LCP Tracker is a payment submittal portal that we utilize for uploading compliance documentation. So it will also say payment submittal, but it will also be used to actually upload the compliance documentation. So following the pre-construction and kickoff meeting, as stated by Tiffany White as well with Section 3, following that pre-construction and kickoff, a compliance monitor will create that project profile and assign the prime contractor as the prime approver. Once that is created, the prime contractor is actually responsible for assigning each subcontractor and supplier to the project in LCP Tracker. With that, as the prime approver, the prime has the capability to review every document that is submitted by the contractors for approval. So the information that is required to set up a contractor assignment would be found on that compliance forms packet cover sheet. So we're going to get further into that compliance forms packet, and then you'll understand what that contractor assignment means. So that compliance forms packet cover sheet gives all the information that is used to enter into the actual system to create and assign a contractor. And every contractor must be assigned to a project in order to submit the required compliance documentation. So if you're a prime and you have a contract in LCP Tracker and you have not assigned your contractors to that project, you will not be able to upload any documentation until that has been done so. So with the contractor setup, it is a two-step process. So you will add or edit the contractor, and then you will actually assign them to the contract. So when you're on LCP Tracker, this is just a snippet of what your screen should look like. You will first search your contractor to be sure they're not already in our system. And if they are not, then you would then add them into the system. Once you add them into the system or have edited the information, then you will then assign them to your contract. So it's a two-step. So it's step one is actually adding them and making sure they're into an LCP's tracker registered in there. And then your second step will be then to assign them to the actual contract. So when you're logging into LCP Tracker, there is a setup on the toolbar tab, and then you will click Add and Edit Contractors. To add a new contractor, enter the contractor information, and then you will click Save. So like I said, if the contractor already has an account and you have any issues uploading, you can add the contractor and enter the contractor ID, which is shown on that contractor cover sheet. So on our compliance cover sheet that I will detail, it actually has an option, a space there for you to enter for your prime or your subcontractor to put their information if they already have a previous LCP Tracker login. Once they do that, then they're able to actually utilize and access LCP Tracker to all their contracts under one login. So once you get to that done and you have all that completed, you'll then go back to setup again and you'll assign the contractor. Once you select that add new assignment, then you'll be adding them into the field and then you would save as necessary. Once you have that contractor assigned, that is when you're actually able to upload the documentation. So once you're in LCP Tracker, there will be a Documents tab. And in this Documents tab, you'll be able to upload documents, view documents, and then we also have a tab open for e-document templates. So there will be an Upload tab, which will help you, of course, upload the documentation. You have the view documents where you can actually go and view all the documents uploaded by both the prime and all of your subcontractors. And then we also have this lovely download e-document templates. This button is amazing holy grail for all compliance documentation that we have for Section 3 and MWSBE as well. So all of our compliance forms packet, the most updated one, is entered into there. We have your arbitration, your mediation terms, we have utilization plans, we have utilization schedules, all located in this lovely e-document tab once you click that document. So once you click that document, you can select download e-document templates, and it'll take you to the guide of all the templates that you can download if you don't want to filter through your email or can't find it in your computer downloads at the time. Steps to upload documents. So like once I said, once you get into that upload tab, you'll click that upload documents there, and then you will go to your document and add and edit it, and then enter the required fields. It is very, 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 very important that when you are uploading these documents, when you select this and you go to this upload documents and you're entering all this information on here, be sure that you detail what you're putting into the system, and also make sure you're uploading into the correct document type. So there are specified document types that you will upload into. There will be the shared compliance form, there will be the annual contractor verification, there will be the MWSBE utilization schedule and utilization plans, and then the subcontractor agreements, which of course you will put the subcontractor agreements. Let me go back and talk about when you enter that document tab, besides the upload documents, the view documents, and the templates, you can also have a reference sheet located down towards the bottom. And if you look at the specified document type, you can actually see the details of what should go in there. So those 4 document types that I named out, you can actually go under here and see what exactly needs to be placed in the correct document type to let you know if you're putting something in the incorrect place. Shared compliance forms is utilized, okay? That's the main one where you'll put a bulk of your documentation. Now we're going to get into B2G Now payment reporting and MWSBE participation tracking. We also want to reiterate, with all tier levels, that all tier levels, both certified and non-certified, all levels, subcontractors, suppliers, professional services, are required to upload compliance documentation into this LCP tracker, okay? So all of your subs, suppliers, professional services, contractors are all required to have documentation uploaded into LCP tracker. So B2G Now payment reporting and MWSBE tracking. After a project is awarded, a profile is set up into B2G Now, and it is participation tracking for both certified and non-certified firms. So all of your payments will be reported, and I want to reiterate, for your certified and your non-certified firms. So the assigned MWSBE coordinator will be responsible for adding contractors into B2G Now. This is how LCP Tracker and B2G Now tie into each other. So once you have your subcontractor added and assigned to the contract in LCP Tracker, then we are able to, and your compliance documentation is being uploaded, we're able to utilize that information that you put in LCP Tracker to then transfer over into B2G Now and create those contractors in B2G Now and assign them to your contract. So primes, you're responsible for your LCP tracker, and us, your MWSB coordinators, are responsible for adding them into B2G Now for you. So the prime contractor is required to enter payments to your subcontractors and suppliers within 5 days of payment receipt from the city. So B2G Now Systems is actually connected to SAP. So once the city has actually sent out a payment, it populates into B2G Now stating what the amount was that was sent over to the prime contractor. And from 5 days from that, which they receive an email tickler, they're required, and you are required, to upload that information for who you've paid out for that month. Subcontractor suppliers and professional services providers are required to then confirm payments entered by the prime. So once that SAP tickler has been sent over to you, then you will go ahead and send out and enter those payments, and then an email tickler will be sent to all of your subcontractors and suppliers who you've entered payments information for, and then they will then confirm those payments. So logging into B2G Now. When you're logging into B2G Now, under your dashboard, it will list all of your active contracts. Projects will appear for you to view and be able to select and edit. And like I stated before, talking about this automated compliance audit process, when we're talking about how the prime contractors were required to enter those payments. Like I stated, SAP populates the payment. The prime is notified via email. The prime enters the payment data. Subcontractor is notified via email, and then they confirm or reject the payment. Once that's done, the compliance audit is complete. But however, if the subcontractor does reject the payment, the subcontractor and prime, and of course the MWSBE contractor administrator is notified via email, and then we will go ahead to figure out and mediate the issue. Prime contractor payment process. As the prime, you can report your payments individual or bulk. What we want to definitely recommend to you all is when you're entering in this payment information, to be sure to include as much information off that check that you can. Go ahead and include the invoice number or the check number and the payment amount. If there's a specified date or more than one payment date that was put out in that one payment, please specify that, because it helps to have for that information to have for us to be able to reference back if there's a payment discrepancy that has happened to be made throughout the time. The subcontractor, once they receive this email tickler about them needing to confirm some payments made, they would see this screen right here, and they would be able to enter and either confirm or deny or reject the payment for the incorrect amount, and be able to specify what the issue is, as well as attach files if there's any attachments that need to be done for proof. We're going to get into the lovely part of the compliance packet. So this compliance forms packet, like I stated, you all have been sent the newest version. Please be sure to only utilize moving forward the version that has been sent to you as of January 2022. We do have an awesome new format on there. Be sure to utilize it. It is completely fillable, so you're able to send it all out to your subcontractors. And also, if they're not able to utilize or reach that packet, please direct them into that e-document templates in Lcp Tracker, as it is located in there already for your reference. So for the MWSB compliance packet for both certified and non-certified firms, like I stated again, let's say all tier levels must complete and upload compliance documentation, both certified and non-certified. And these are the documentation that we have. We have our annual documents, our recurring documents, and our one-time documents. So for our one-time docs, we have this awesome utilization schedule, our initial utilization plan, the compliance cover sheet, the request for subcontractor clearance form, which will go with that SAM verification, that start of work notice, the termination of work notice, executed contractor agreements, and the debarred vendor list. With this SAM verification that is attached with this request for contractor clearance form, there are 3 searches that must be conducted for the SAM verification search, and that is the company name, the principal owners, and the EIN number. Also, for the reoccurring documents. For the reoccurring documents, we have the MWSBE monthly utilization plans for the certified and non-certified firms. For our annual document, we have the debarred vendor list and our request for contractor clearance. So I just want to reiterate, so we have this one-time document set that is sent out to all. So this one-time on that compliance forms, these are one-time docs. So once these documents are completed, the majority of them, then you'll be able to then move on to the reoccurring and annual documents. So you can always set reminders in your phone as far as how it goes. So the MWSBE utilization plans, that is monthly. That is monthly or as changes occur. So if there is an update, that'll then become, a reoccurring document that will have to be edited. Then you also have these annual documents. Annual means once a year. So when you do that request for contractor clearance form, you initially submit that. Over to us. Annually, every year from that date, you will have to reconduct that SAM verification search and that debarred vendor list to be sure that on these federal funded projects that there's no contractors that are working on here that should not be working on any federally funded contracts. So we want to be sure that there's nobody debarred or anybody with any stipulations that is being utilized on our contract that is not supposed to be utilized on our contract. With the utilization schedule. Oh, I see I have a question. I'm so sorry. Let's take a second for this question with your hand raised. Could you go ahead, if you have your hand raised, place that question in the chat box for us, please? So our MWSBE client personnel can help you. Thank you very much. All right, let's talk about these utilization schedules. So the utilization schedule is a prime contractor only requirement. The utilization schedule is utilized as a forecast of your company's utilization of certified firms.
Talk to you about
I'm so sorry. Could you hold on? Let me go ahead and make sure. Could everybody please make sure your mics are muted, please? So the utilization schedule is a forecast of your company's utilization of certified firms to meet the participation goal on the project. So it's basically a projection of the monies to be allocated to certified firms for each month of the project. This form must be completed and submitted for review and approval before start of work and each time there is a change to the plan. So a new plan must be submitted when responding to a not meeting the goal letter as well. So let me reiterate, let me talk about this for you. With the utilization schedule, like stated, before you start work on your contract, when you first initially starting, a utilization schedule must be completed. Like we said, it is for your certified firms only, will be listed on here. So this utilization schedule is just basically a breakdown monthly of how you plan to pay out to your certified firms in meeting the goal. If there's a change to the plan, if you do a deviation request, a new utilization schedule will be required. If you're not meeting the goal, a new utilization schedule will be required for you to update and list out how you plan to meet the goal. With MWSBE, like stated earlier with our goal achievements, we strive to be 100% compliant. We want you all to be 100% compliant, and we want to do everything we can to help you do this. So with these utilization schedules, it allows everybody to have their eye on that forecast of how the utilization is going to go to be sure that we're hitting that one goal, to actually meet the MWB requirement without using good faith efforts, showing that through due diligence and working, and we're able to keep you 100% compliant and help you meet or overachieve on your goal. So the prime contractor is responsible for collecting this form to complete contractor setup and access to Lcp Tracker. This is that compliance cover sheet that I was detailing earlier. We want to be sure to reiterate to you all on all the forms that we're discussing right now. All of these forms are all mandatory spaces that are on this form. If it is a blank next to the question or to the statement, please be sure to enter it. Please be sure to fill out the emails. Please be sure to put in your NAICS codes, your EIN numbers, your DUNS numbers for all of your subs. Have them completed in entirety. And if they send it to you without it being completed, send it back immediately. We definitely want to be sure that all the information is in there, because just like we need it to utilize for compliance, you all need all of the information as well to set your contractor up into Lcp Tracker. So this form must be completed and submitted within 5 business days upon execution of a contract agreement and or purchase order by all contractors, suppliers, and consulting firms. If the form is submitted into Lcp Tracker and it is not completed in its entirety, it will be rejected. So we just want to be sure. Please be sure to make sure that you're entering and having your subs enter all of the fields. The prime contractor, so this is the request for prime contractor subcontractor clearance. This form goes hand in hand with the SAM verification search. So this document is required for that SAM verification search. This lets you know and gives you all the information utilized to actually conduct this search. SAM verification. The SAM verification is to verify the eligibility of a contractor to work on a federally funded contract or project. So the search must be conducted on the 3 following ways. We have that full company name, the principal owners. So if there's multiple owners on that actual company, a SAM search must be done on every individual owner. I'm so sorry. Could you mute your mics, please? I'm trying to find it to mute everyone. There it is. Found it. Okay. So the principal owner. So if there's multiple principal owners, please be sure to do each individual search. And then through the employer identification number, which is that EIN number, that is also done through sam.gov. So the search results in that request for clearance form that I showed you just previously, which I'll touch back on over there to it. See right here, this form, as well as the search results that you'll be conducting off this website, will be uploaded into Lcp Tracker for every contractor and supplier. So we also always recommend no contract to be executed with a prime, a subcontractor, or supplier until their eligibility has been verified. So once you know that you'll be actually utilizing or planning to utilize any subcontractor, supplier, professional services contractor on your contract, be sure to do their SAM eligibility verification search to be sure they're not debarred or aren't actually eligible to work on a federally funded contract. So the site now requires a creation of an account to conduct searches. So the person conducting the searches must be logged into the site, otherwise no search results can be retrieved. So at the old SAM, I know quite a few of you all have been working with HCDD for a few years now, or have previous years, but we also want to let you know that SAM.gov is steadily changing. So you do have to create an account to conduct your searches. It must be created for you all to actually conduct the searches. So how to retrieve the SAM verification now with the new way it appears, you will go to the same website, which is also a hyperlink still located on our request for contractor clearance form. You will then sign in on the top right corner. Next, a box will appear to click accept. You will sign in or create your account, and then you will navigate to that header of in menu of any page and select that search button. Once you select that search button, you'll navigate to the left sidebar and select the plus icon to the right of select domain. Then you will select entity information and click all entity information. Once you're there, you will click any words for the filter box, and then you will enter the applicable information. Please be sure that this is an remember this is an individual search, so you will not enter EIN number, comma, principal name, comma, company name. That is not how the search is to be conducted. It must be conducted individually. So you'll enter the company name, boom, you'll search that. Then you enter the EIN, search that. Principal name, search that. And then you'll press enter under each one, and then you will print the first 3 or 4 pages of the search exclusion matches to ensure that your contractor is not an exact match. So your results should look something similar to this. As you enter your contractors and their information, it'll be a list like this, and you can actually snip it and save it, or you can print the pages and scan it in. It is your discretion because you'll be uploading them into the system. So it is up to your discretion how you will be screening, if you want to snip it, or if you want to print it out and then scan it, or if you're able to automatically save it, then do so. So then you will upload all the results generated along with that form, the request for contractor clearance, into one document. So most of you all, you usually have Adobe, which is the best way and the easiest way to go ahead and combine those files. If you download or you snip that, you could actually combine the files under one and upload that together, so you're not uploading a whole bunch of separate files. Of course, when you're uploading this into Lcp Tracker, being sure to upload under the correct document type, and then also being sure to put that information in the details, which we definitely recommend to put the date, because then you're able to readily track when it's time for you to conduct that search again, this is the search that is to be done annually. So if any of your contractors match is identified, whether they're a contractor, subcontractor, or lower tier sub, they will not be eligible to conduct any businesses on federal projects. So if there's a partial match that's there will need to be additional document or information that may be requested by HCDD to confirm that they are or are not debarred from working on these federally funded projects. So the debarred vendor list. So the debarred vendor list is another regulation that is placed on, that is required to be uploaded. The awesome thing is it is very easy to reach it and get located and screenshot it and upload it into the system. So this proof of non-debarment for the state comptroller's office must be provided by the prime, sub, suppliers, consulting, and all lower tiers. So everybody is required to have this uploaded into their Lcp tracker for them, okay? So when you're retrieving that debarred vendor list, you'll actually go to this website here, and then you'll scroll down to procurement resources and select and search for CMBL hub vendors, which we have showing here. Once you do so, you'll click on the debarred vendor list on the left-hand side, and then the list will appear on the screen. You can Control P to print or save as the PDF. Please ensure that the date is on the list. So the date does not appear on the download form, so don't use the download form link for the debarred vendor list, just as a note. So if it's easily and readily there for you to just download it, it won't show the actual date that you've done it. So we definitely recommend to screenshot or Control P and save it that way. So once you are done doing that, then you would upload the debarred vendor list under the annual contractor verification document type in Lcp Tracker. So as we stated in Lcp Tracker with those correct document types, annual contractor verification will be for the debarred vendor list and our SAM verification list. And it shows you there, annual contractor verification. It just gives you that tickler in your mind that every year that it must be completed. even if you're grandfathered in. So even if you're in a contract that's been lasting for a few years already, this is a requirement, the SAM verification search and the debarred vendor list. So if you haven't done so for your year of 2022, it is a reminder has been emailed out to you, but we just want to reiterate to be sure to do that in a timely fashion as it is required. Start of work notice. So the start of work notice, of course, is that it's the notice of commencement of work, and it must be completed by everyone as well. Contractors, prime contractors, suppliers, professional services providers, all as well. It'll just reiterate what's going on and what the date is, and of course, the signature is required. So our utilization plans, MWSBE utilization plans. All contractors are responsible for submitting a utilization plan prior to the start of work, and all contractors must submit a utilization plan once every month until the termination of work. So with us doing our compliance regulatory monitoring, and we do the CSRs, which is our compliance status reports, which I'll touch bases on a little later. Every month until the termination of work notice is received, will we be in the CSRs requiring that you have that utilization plan uploaded. So if you have a contractor that's no longer working, but we're still requesting for utilization plans, it's because most likely a termination of work notice has not been uploaded. So we want to be sure that you have notated when your contractors are ending work and they're terminating work to go ahead and get that uploaded into the system so that we can stop monitoring for certain things such as our monthly required form, our annual required forms that are required to be done. So the utilization plan is once every month or as changes occur. If you're a firm and you're going to start subletting your contract out to someone, or you're a prime, you're adding a new subcontractor, that once a month turns into having to upload that documentation again into the system. So if you're adding a new subcontractor, you would then upload it under the correct document type, but in the details you would simply put in revised or updated for that specific month of the utilization plan. With the utilization plan, it must be completed in its entirety. As you see at the top right here, it has the same information. So the project name, the contract number, the contract amount, the name, the contract, the compliance contact name, that must be completed by everyone. And then also all this information that you see down here, the NAICS codes, the contractor name, if they're ethnicity, the description of service, the EIN, the percentage of contract, the address, the phone number, email, all that information, of course, is readily available to you on the actual compliance cover sheet. So that's why we always reiterate, it always comes full circle as far as the information goes. That compliance cover sheet right here, that document being completed in its entirety, when you're completing that utilization plan, it gives you all the information there that you need to complete that. So it's like all the information, as long as you're filling out all forms, all your information there is always readily available for you to enter into there. Making sure that their NAICS codes are correct, as Lakeisha stated with her pre-award. Those NAICS codes are required and they are given to our contractors. Every firm knows their NAICS codes. Be sure to have them put their NAICS codes in there, especially your certified firms, as they have NAICS codes that are assigned to them for their actual certification. So make sure that you are having them complete that on that compliance cover sheet, and it makes the ease of the utilization plan for you, the completion for you. Our contract agreements. A contract agreement and/or purchase order should be executed with every subcontractor, supplier, and professional services provider, including our lower tier subcontractors participating on a project. So everyone is required to have some sort of contract agreement, whether it be a purchase order or a contract agreement. However, to be an acceptable compliant contract agreement, it must include all of the following: the scope of work, the contract amount, the signatures of both our prime and our subcontractor, and if it's a single family project, the addresses of the homes that they are working on. So if it's a single family, you could also do a master contract agreement, which is encouraged, of all of the addresses that will be actively worked on by those specified contractors. Also, the mediation clause. The mediation clause is a simple snippet that you include to put into the actual contract that you have or purchase order agreement that you have with your contractors. So for the mediation clause, this is the information that can be used. So this document is also available in Lcp Tracker for our terms in there. You can click it straight into those Lcp Tracker, into those document templates. You can actually access this and copy and paste it, but you also, I'm sure, have received it from your MWSB contract administrator. And if you haven't, you can readily ask for it. Or if you'd like to explore Lcp Tracker, which we very, very much encourage, go ahead and scroll through that eDocuments template and check out what we have in there for you, which would, of course, include this awesome mediation clause in there. So for the termination of work, this form is to be completed by the prime, the sub, the suppliers, and professional services providers as notice of work has been completed. That is what we discussed. So this start of work and the termination of work are very vital for us. If you're uploading documentation into the Lcp Tracker and you've uploaded this compliance documentation and you have this start of work notice in there, or you have a contract agreement form in there, please be sure that you are notifying us if you have uploaded documents, if they're already starting work, or we will begin looking for those documents. So once they're assigned and the documents are beginning to be uploaded, they're already going to be tracked on our compliance status reports. They're already a tickler and notified to us that there's documentation that's required for every single one. So if there's missing documents and they haven't started work, and that's why the documents are missing, be sure to communicate that with your contract administrator. That is what we're here for, to be able to assist in all matters and to keep that communication open, because we're advocates for everybody being compliant, especially our primes. So having that start of work notice in there gives us the notification to start monitoring for compliance documentation. And of course, documents must be uploaded within 5 business days of that executed subcontractor agreement. So these contractor agreements, within that 5 business days of an executed contract agreement, should your compliance packet documentation be uploaded, including that start of work notice to notify us. And if they're not starting work immediately, you can go ahead and, even when we send out the CSRs, or even email your contract administrator, say, hey, these contractors aren't started yet. We have uploaded, the executed agreement that's completed, but that start of work notice is not done yet because they're not working yet. That information back and forth allows it the ease of the stress of you having X's on your reports from us, as non-compliant documentation. And then it kind of helps us have that communication to be aware. So with this termination of work notice, please be sure, like I said before, once a contractor is done with their work on the contract fully, please upload this termination of work notice, as it notifies us to no longer ask for those annual debarments, for those annual SAM verification searches, and for those monthly utilization plans. So I want to go back, as I've touched bases now on all these documents. You all have seen it now. I've discussed it more in depth. I'm going to just touch bases over once again, what is required from us. So it's those one-time documents that we discussed, that awesome utilization schedule with the projection of money, that utilization plan is going to list all of your firms. So prime, I just want to reiterate to that. Prime, when you're doing this prior start to work in our contractors, be sure to list all of your firms, both certified and non-certified, are to be included on this utilization plan. All of your firms. And as every month goes on, you'll put the firms that are working. So all of your firms on your utilization plan, okay? So we can be able to see your lower tiers, if any, all of your subs, all your suppliers, and such, so we can kind of have that eye out to start looking for and knowing, getting ready B2G now to add those subcontractors in there for you, so your accurate payment tracking on time, as well as your compliance documentation as well. So then we also have that awesome compliance cover sheet, which is for use for Lcp Tracker. You use it for your utilization plan completion, your request for contractor clearance form, which is used for your SAM verification and done annually, your start of work, term of work, your contract agreements, your mediation clause, which must be inside your contract agreements, and then those monthlies, that utilization plan, and your annuals for your debarment, and your request for contractor clearance form for your SAM search. For your single-family prime contractor requirements, you must submit an executed contract agreement, contract cover sheet, utilization plan, start of work notice, term work notice for every project address. The prime contractor is required to submit a monthly utilization plan by the 5th of every month, or as changes occur. Like I stated, if you have any changes that are happening throughout your contract throughout that month, please be sure to upload that utilization plan in there for us. A request for contractor clearance and form and SAM verification is required for everyone once throughout the program, which is actually annually throughout the program. So for our single families, it is throughout the entire program. It is required to happen annually, once every year throughout the program. with our single family subcontractor requirements. So for our subcontractors, they're required on every address a master contract agreement and or purchase order. So those subcontractor agreements that we talked about previously, that's what I was stating. If it's a single family and you have multiple addresses that you're working on with your crime or your contractor, be sure to list all of those out. You can do one master contract agreement, as you know, or you can do separate bulks of them as you find out there's 3 or 4 addresses that we're working on. You can do 3 or 4 addresses on one contract, so you're not singularly uploading purchase orders or contracts, but it is per your discretion. But we always want to work a little bit easier instead of harder. So your subcontractors will submit a compliance cover sheet, utilization plan, start of work notice, and term of work notice for every address. Your suppliers and professional services providers on these are required to submit a compliance cover sheet, start a work notice, and a termination of work notice, as well as a purchase order or contract agreement. I think it's time. We got to see if you guys are awake with all this talking and this information that I've been flooding you with. It's time for a pop quiz. Our search results should include all of the following: employer identification number or social security number, company name, all principal owners, or all of the above? Please put your answer. I see you, Christina. You were ready to go. Pretty, okay, Chris. Let's see if he's been paying attention to this awesome information. Awesome. Thank you, Luther. Thank you, Janelle. Thank you, Saida. Awesome. Let's see if you guys are right. If you answer D, you are a SAM result expert and you know how to search. So we expect awesome and amazing, perfect search results uploaded into Lcp Tracker. So now we're going to talk about deviation requests, the lovely deviation requests. So a deviation request is when you want to deviate from the initial MWBE participation plan that was submitted during pre-award. So when Lakeisha came in and it came with that MWBE participation plan that was then, of course, approved because you're actively working on your contract, if you want to change, and that means change any of the contractors on that plan, that is a deviation. So that is deviating from the initial plan. So to do so, you must submit it in writing to your assigned MWSBE compliance monitor. If you are having any issues with a firm, if you are a certified firm and you're having any issues with your contractor, whether it be work issues on the site, whether it's non-payment, whether it's not timely payments, or you have any questions or concerns with any regulations and anything that may be happening on your contract, please be sure to reach out to your assigned MWSBE compliance monitor. We are here to assist you and give you all of the resources and all of the help that we can. We're not able to help if we're not informed of what's going on in your contract. Primes, if you're having issues with your subs, before you deciding to just deviate and try to deviate off a contract, subs, if you're having issues with your prime, before you're just attempting to have these, going to any upscaling or elevating the matters, please come to us as we can assist you in the matter beforehand and do what we can to avoid it escalating and going any further. We want to be sure that you know that a deviation request is only required to add, or remove a certified MWSBE firm. When you're doing these requests, you must include the reasons for who, what, when, and why. So when you're trying to remove a firm, that utilization schedule, when you're trying to remove that utilization plan, that goal, all of that is impacted. So when you're attempting to do so, that utilization schedule will be required to be edited and shown to us on how you plan to achieve that goal still. Whether you're replacing a firm and putting it with another firm that will do the same scope of work with the filling in that goal, or what is the plan as far as MWSB goals is required. So you must still, when deviating, be meeting that goal that was originally put on that participation plan. So the firm may change, but the goal stays the same. Whether you agreed on that 35%, whether you agreed on 34%, whether you agreed on 20, whatever the agreement was for that plan, it must still be achieved even when deviating. So that plan must be on how you still are going to achieve that goal. For ongoing monitoring. So we do conduct random site visits to monitor the project activities and the contractor's participation. With COVID right now, the levels, we have been sending out these remote site visit templates. We do have new ones. Section 3 and MWSBE site visits are separated. So when you're getting those email ticklers, there's the Section 3 at the top and there's MWSBE at the top. So please be mindful when you're completing that to upload that. Now, rather the information may be the same because, on specified dates that are requested, please be sure to put them on those forms so you can simply, put that information over. With those site visits, there is backup documentation that is required for those site visit approvals. So it can be a daily sign-in sheet, Procore, which a lot of you all use, shows the contractors that were actually working on your site for those days. So be sure to add that compliance documentation as supporting documents when you're uploading it. And it just simply goes into your document type for that shared compliance forms in Lcp Tracker. You'll upload that into there for us every month. So it's required. It may be 1 or 2, maybe 3, depending on the dates that are requested by your compliance monitor. Please be sure to have that information there with that backup documentation for your sign-in sheets. So the compliance documents will be compared with the information gathered from interviewing employees and site action. So when we're seeing those site visits, which we are doing remotely right now, the compliance documents as well as the sign-in sheets will all be compared to be sure that you all have the contractors that are actively working in on your projects actually have compliance documentation located in Lcp Tracker. So it all basically lines up. The contractors you have working should have compliance documentation in Lcp, should have payments reported in P2G now. If any of those are not connecting, please get with your monitor to get that rectified. Documents submitted for reporting and monitoring purposes by all contractors will be reviewed for accuracy and compliance with requirements. So all the documentation that's uploaded into Lcp Tracker, it is all reviewed for accuracy and compliance with MWSB requirements by your assigned monitor. And on the 5th or by the 5th of every month, you're receiving an email notifying you and identifying the non-compliant items in Lcp Tracker. So it's an Excel spreadsheet that is included by the 5th of every month for your compliance monitor for you to review and see what documentation is missing. If you have any pertinent documentation that is missing and you're running into issues or any matters, this is definitely the time that you'll be reaching out to your compliance monitor to notify them. We want to be sure that, like I stated before, the communication is open always with us, and we're always here to help. If you have additional questions about a document, you don't understand why you have to upload this, you don't understand how to do so, we are able and capable to show you and go through that with you. So don't ever feel like we're just sending you something and you're on your own. Please call us, email us, reach out. Let us help you in helping you get compliant the easiest way possible. We don't want you having hardships in our compliance area. We want you to have it as easy as possible. So with us helping you and walking you through, if that helps you as your hands-on learner rather than just listening to a technical assistance, reach out to us and we'll help you do so. Commercially useful function audits, that's a tongue twister. So it's our CUF audits or our CUF audits as you'll hear it. CUF audit is conducted to determine if an MWSBE firm is authorized by the City of Houston Code Ordinance under Chapter 15. So it is required, and we will perform CUF audits on the certified firms to assess the level of credit that the prime contractor should receive for the actual performance. So when we're doing that, we're determining whether a certified firm is actually performing. The factors actually included but not limited to will be considered. So whether they're actually performing an actual service on the contract, whether there's a skill and expertise to perform the work solely, or whether it is in the business of performing, managing, or supervising for which it has been certified and is being utilized, and making sure that the NAICS codes are actually being performed. So basically what that is saying is the certified firms that we're reaching out to, we're being sure that they're actually performing the work and the prime is not doing so. We're making sure that the work they're actually performing is actually listed and what they're certified for, being in their scope of work, on their NAICS codes that is in B2G now for them being a certified firm, and making sure that they're actually everything that they're doing is through them and not a lower tiers firm. Because if you do have a certified firm performing or subletting some of their contract, that does take away from that participation credit. So like I stated, if you have an MBE and they've hired out a firm to do some work for them, that will take away from the goal that MBE had because now they have someone else performing work. So be sure when you have these certified firms that they're able and capable of performing the work. And if so, if they are subletting, that participation will be reduced and will have to be made up somewhere else. Okay? Contractor performance. So compliance red flags. If a prime fails to meet the MWBE goal requirements and does not demonstrate acceptable good faith efforts, that is a red flag. The prime contractor fails to submit required documents, a prime contractor failing to review or submit accurate compliance docs for themselves, their subs, or suppliers, or if a prime fails to submit compliance documentation for active contractors as they are on the project or as they're coming about on the project, those are compliance red flags. And those are things that can actually cause issues and delays in payment releases. So with MWBE, with our contracts, whether they're single family, multifamily, infrastructure, professional services, they all have to go through these divisions for payment approval. If there are consistent compliance red flags, that can result in payment withholding. And while we don't want to go into a payment withholding, we never do, we also want to let you all know that that is why we keep reiterating that we are here for you. We are here to assist you. We aren't here to just give you work and let you do it and let you go clueless or not understanding. This is why we host these quarterly technical assistances. This is why we offer one-on-ones. This is why we have the compliance forms packet readily, easily for you to fill out, because we want to not have to withhold payment. So please be sure if you're running into any issues, any errors, if you have any issues with your subs not complying, not wanting to complete documentation, please be sure to reach out to us and communicate that with us. Also, with this compliance forms packet that you all have, when you are going into working with a subcontractor and you're going to meet with them to do that contractor agreement, or you're sending over that contractor agreement for it to be executed, send over your compliance forms packet as well so that they can complete all of that at once. So it's not like they're doing a bulk of thing. They can do that bulk of compliant, they can do the contract as well as the compliance forms packet and send back over both to you. So then you can review and begin the process. So you already have those documents ready for you. That is just a recommendation for us, especially if you're going to have to, if you've already conducted that SAM verification search before, of course, you're conducting that, executing that contract agreement with them and sending over that compliance forms packet with that agreement. Because as we stated, all certified and non-certified firms must complete those compliance forms. So with this substantial noncompliance, payment withholding, like we stated before, don't want to hold payments at all. Please be sure to open that communication. But if you do fail to comply, if our contractors fail to comply, payments will be withheld. If it is consecutive and substantial noncompliance, then termination of contract can happen, and then a suspension or debarment can happen, where the debarred list that pops up that we have to do the search on, your contractor yourself might be on there. Pop quiz. MWSBE is regulated by the City of Houston Ordinance and federal regulations. True or false? True or false? Get some answers in this chat box. True or false? Are we regulated? 60% federal regulation. Anybody? True or false? Thank you, Chris. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. We got some truth here. So thank you, Lori. Thank you, Jennifer. If you answered true, then you are correct. MWSB is regulated by the City of Houston Ordinance and federal regulations. Pending closeout project activities. So pending closeout projects. When site activities are completed under a contract terms, contractors should submit a termination of work notice. So like I stated, once your contractor is completed on the work, please submit a termination of work for every sub-supplier that is no longer working on the site, as this informs us that they're done working, so we're no longer monitoring them for their monthly and annual documentation. And then once it also adds to the ease of closeout. So once you reach that end of your closeout, when you're getting to now submitting the prime's termination of work, we're able to already know that they're all in there as they've been listed and not asking for, going back and asking for months of monthly documentation. So the final payment in B2G Now will be marked final, and then retainage payments must be entered in B2G Now by the contractors with the total amount of retainage being held. No project can be closed looking like this. This compliance audit list is a big no-no. So when you're going into your B2G Now, you're looking at your compliance audit list and you have these reds here for not confirmed by subs or not reported by subs, that is an issue. And with those outstanding compliance audits, The contract cannot be closed out. And throughout the months, every month, this should be conducted to look at this to be sure that there's not any pending not confirms, because of course you can reach your subs to let them know to be sure to go back in there and enter that information. I also want to go back and reiterate that compliance cover sheet with the contact compliance email and contact information for your subcontractors. Please be sure to let them ask them to put in the compliance monitor. So whoever is going to be in charge of doing the compliance documentation for those firms, that's the email that should be put on this compliance cover sheet, not the owner. If they're not going to be going into B2G now, into LCP Tracker, the owner's email doesn't need to be put in the compliance cover sheet. Put the compliance personnel that's actually going to be in LCP Tracker in B2G now, because they'll be getting those email ticklers of a rejection of documents. If there's a confirmation of payment that needs to be made from B2G now, they'll get those email ticklers. So they need to be able to see that so that they're not falling behind, and that they can readily do that every month and keep in compliance. Project closeout and evaluation. So with project closeout and evaluation, it consists of us evaluating the prime contractor's goal and their compliance with program requirements. Your subcontractor's performance may impact the evaluation ratings of the prime contractor, which is why we also always be sure to encourage our primes to notify their subcontractors what is detailed and required of them when they're working on a contract with us. There is compliance documentation. There is the confirmation of payments that must be done. And if you have a substantial subcontractor that is non-compliant, if you have a subcontractor that's substantially non-compliant, then that can actually harm the evaluation rating. So be sure that you have contractors that are aware of the HCD contracts and rules and regulations, and that they're required to do so to receive payment, because it can hold up your payment. We have the resource links for our federal regulations, which is 24 CFR 85.36 with the link here. And then we also have our Chapter 15 Article 5 Ordinance, City of Houston Quota Ordinances here, 4 resource links for you to actually go and review at any given time to see why and we require the documentation that we do require to remain 100% compliant through GLOW, HUD, and all of our other federally funded contracts. If you have any comments or questions, we did have a hand raised earlier. If you have any comments or questions now, please put them in the chat box and I'll be happy to assist you. Like we stated, I'll go ahead and recopy that survey link in the chat box for you, as well as my contact information. Please complete that survey in between time before we start with Mr. Ortiz, who will be doing the pay or play presentation for us. I want to thank you all for listening, and if you have any questions, like we said, comments, any questions or concerns, please put them in the chat box. Please email or contact me if you need additional training, etc. We really appreciate you all attending this informative technical assistance, and I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for listening to MWSBE, and we hope that we gave you all the information that you need.